The alarm screamed through the research vessel like a dying animal. Minho Park dropped his data pad and ran toward the bridge, his boots pounding against the metal floor. He had been a soldier before he became a scientist, and his body remembered what that sound meant. Danger. Real danger. All hands to battle stations. Captain Unico's voice crackled over the speakers. We have incoming hostiles. Minho reached the bridge just as the first impact hit. The ship shook violently, throwing him against the wall. Through the viewing window he saw them. 3 massive ships, black as space itself, with red lights glowing like angry eyes. They were unlike anything in the human database. What are they? Doyen Choi, the pilot, struggled with the controls. Sweat ran down his face. Unknown, Hana Lim called from the engineering station. But they're cutting through our shields like paper. Another blast rocked the ship. Sparks flew from the control panels. Taeyang Song, the communications officer, worked frantically at his station. I'm trying to send a distress signal, but they're jamming everything. Captain Ko stood firm in the center of the chaos. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. Minho, get to the lab. Destroy all research data, everything. They can't have it. Captain, that's an order, Doctor. Go. Now. Minho ran. Behind him, he heard weapons fire. The ship had small defense guns, but they were a research vessel, not a warship. They were fighting, but everyone knew how this would end. The lab was in chaos. Equipment had fallen from shelves. Glass covered the floor. Minho went straight to the main computer and started the deletion protocol. Years of research on alien biology, human adaptation to deep space, military medical advances. All of it had to go. The screen blinked. Deletion will complete in 3 minutes. 3 minutes felt like forever. The ship shook again. This time, Minho heard something new. A tearing sound. Metal being ripped apart. They were boarding. 2 minutes. Screams echoed through the corridors. Weapons fire, then silence. The terrible kind of silence. 1 minute. The lab door exploded inward. Minho spun around and saw them. The aliens were tall, taller than any human. Their skin looked like dark red scales. They had 4 eyes, all of them focused on him. Their mouths had too many teeth. Deletion complete, the computer announced cheerfully. One of the aliens made a sound. It might have been laughter. It raised a weapon that looked like a twisted piece of metal. Blue light gathered at the end. Minho had been a soldier. He knew when fighting was useless. But he also knew he wouldn't go down without trying. He grabbed a piece of broken equipment and threw it. The alien didn't even bother to dodge. The equipment bounced off its chest. The blue light flashed. Pain. Electric burning pain that filled every part of his body. Minho fell to his knees, then to the floor. His muscles wouldn't work. He couldn't even scream. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was the alien standing over him, those 4 eyes cold and curious. When Minho woke up, he was moving. His head pounded. His body ached everywhere. He tried to move his hands and found they were bound behind his back. He was being carried, his feet dragging on the ground. He forced his eyes open. He was in a long, dark corridor. The walls were the same red-black color as the alien ships. The air smelled wrong, like metal and something else. Something organic and rotting. Other aliens walked past, not even looking at him. To them, he was just cargo. They threw him into a cell. He hit the floor hard, the breath knocked out of him. He heard groaning and looked up. 3 other humans were there. Doyen Hana and Taeyang. They were alive. Beaten, bloody, but alive, Captain. Minho forced the word out. Taeyang shook his head slowly. His eyes were red. She fought. They made an example of her. Of everyone who fought. The cell door was transparent, some kind of energy field. Through it, Minho could see other cells. Dozens of them. Hundreds, maybe. And they weren't all empty. He saw creatures of all kinds. Some were vaguely humanoid. Others were completely alien. All of them looked defeated. Where are we? Hana's voice was barely a whisper. Prison ship, Doyen said. He was holding his side, and Minho could see blood between his fingers. I heard them talking. Well, not talking exactly, but I understood somehow. We're on something they call the grinding maw. It's where they keep species they've conquered. How many ships like this do they have? Minho asked. I don't know, but this one's been running for 40 years. That's what I got from them. 40 years. Minho let that sink in. This wasn't a new thing. These aliens had been doing this for a long time. An alien appeared outside their cell. This one was different. It wore something like a uniform covered in symbols. It studied them with those four cold eyes. Humans, it said. The word came out wrong. Like its mouth wasn't made for their language. Primitive, weak, you will work. You will obey. You will tell us about your world. Or you will die. Slowly. The alien reached up and tapped something on the wall. Minho felt a pressure in his head. It built and built until he thought his skull would crack. Then it was gone, leaving a dull ache. Neural suppressor, the alien said. All prisoners wear one. It makes you gentle, easy to control. If you resist, you feel pain. If you fight, you die. The alien walked away, its footsteps echoing in the corridor. Minho lay on the cold floor and waited for the pain in his head to fade. But something was wrong. The pressure was there, but it wasn't as bad as the alien had suggested. He could still think clearly. He could still feel anger. The device was affecting him, but not like it should. He looked at his fellow humans. They were all conscious, all aware. Hurt but not broken. We need to survive, Minho said quietly. That's the first mission. We survive. We heal, we watch, we learn. And then? Hana asked. Minho thought about Captain Ko's last order. Survive. Make them regret taking you. And then we make them regret ever capturing a human. In the darkness of the grinding maw, surrounded by the defeated remnants of 100 conquered species, 4 humans made a silent promise. They would not break. They would not give up. And somehow, someway, they would be free. The aliens thought they had captured prisoners. They had no idea they had just caught something far more dangerous. They had caught humans who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The days on the grinding maw blurred together. There was no real day or night, just endless dim lighting and the constant hum of the ship's engines. Minho learned to count time by the arrival of food, twice in what he guessed was a 24-hour period. The food was a gray paste that tasted like nothing and made his stomach hurt, but it kept them alive. The aliens called themselves Velcrons. They had built an empire across dozens of star systems. To them, other species were either useful or they were nothing. Humans, they had decided, were useful, but only barely. Every morning, guards came and took prisoners to work. Some went to the engine rooms. Others went to mining operations in the ship's lower levels. The humans were assigned to medical duties because Minho had told them he was a doctor. It was partly true. He had training. What he didn't tell them was that his training had been for combat medicine. Keeping soldiers alive in war zones. The medical bay was a horror show. Injured prisoners from 100 different species all crammed together. The Velcrons didn't care about healing them properly. They just wanted them functional enough to work. Minho did what he could with almost nothing. Hana helped him, learning fast. Taeyang cleaned and organized. Doyen, still recovering from his injuries, stayed in the cell. After 3 weeks, Minho understood the prison better. The guards changed shifts every 8 hours. There were surveillance devices everywhere, but they were focused on watching for violence, not planning. The neural suppressors were supposed to make prisoners passive and obedient, but they didn't work quite right on humans. I can still think clearly, Hana whispered one night in their cell. I can still plan. Can't you? Yes, Minho admitted. The device affects us, but not like it should. Maybe human brains are different enough that it doesn't fully work. Don't the guards notice? Taeyang asked. They think all species react differently, Minho said. And we're being careful. We do what they say. We don't fight. We look defeated. Are we defeated? Doyen spoke from the corner. His wound was healing slowly, but infection had set in. Without proper medicine, Minho could only do so much. No, Minho said firmly. We're preparing. In the medical bay, Minho met other prisoners. Most had given up. They worked, they ate, they slept. They waited to die, but some still had fire in their eyes. There was Kiva, a 4-armed alien with blue skin and kind eyes. She had been a scientist before the Velcrons took her world. She spoke broken human language learned from data files. Humans, she said one day while Minho treated a wound on her arm. You are different. Others stop hoping. You don't stop. Hope is all we have, Minho said. Hope is dangerous, Kiva said. Velcrons punish hope. She was right. A week later, Minho saw what happened to prisoners who tried to resist. A group of insect-like aliens had attempted to overpower a guard. They failed. The Velcrons brought all the prisoners to a large chamber and made them watch. The executions were slow and cruel. The message was clear. Obey or suffer. But the executions had the opposite effect on Minho. They made him angry. and anger was fuel. The warden of the grinding maw was a Velcran named Thresh. He was larger than the other guards, with scars across his scaled face. He visited the medical bay sometimes, not for treatment, but to remind the prisoners of their place. "You work because we allow it," Thresh would say. "You breathe because we permit it. Never forget what you are, property." Minho kept his face blank when Thresh spoke. Inside, he memorized every detail. The way Thresh walked, the weapon on his belt, the way other guards acted around him. Everything was information. Information was power. One day, Doyen's infection got worse. He developed a fever and started coughing blood. Minho had tried everything, but without real antibiotics, the infection was winning. "I need proper medicine," Minho told a guard. "He'll die without it." "Then he dies," the guard said without emotion. "But you need workers," Minho pressed. "Dead prisoners don't work." The guard considered this. Finally, it brought a small container of pills, 1 per day. No more. The pills helped, but not fast enough. Doyen got weaker. His breathing became shallow. Hana stayed by his side when she could, holding his hand. Taeyang brought him water. But Minho knew the truth. Doyen was dying. On the 4th night, Minho made a decision. He couldn't save Doyen with what the Velcrans gave him. But he had noticed something. In the medical bay, there was a locked cabinet. The guards kept their own medical supplies there. Real medicine. The good stuff. Breaking into it was risky. If he got caught, they would kill him. But Doyen was his friend. His responsibility. Captain Ko had ordered him to survive, but she had also taught him something else. You don't leave your people behind. Minho waited until the night shift. The guards were fewer then and less alert. He told Hana his plan. She refused to let him go alone. "You'll need someone to watch your back," she said. They moved through the dark corridors. The neural suppressor in Minho's head pulsed with each step, trying to stop him. He pushed through the discomfort. Pain was just information. You could choose what to do with it. The medical bay was empty. Minho went to the locked cabinet while Hana watched the door. The lock was electronic, but Hana was an engineer. She pulled out tools she had slowly collected over weeks. Pieces of wire. A small circuit board. Things the guards thought were trash. "Hurry," Minho whispered. Every second felt like an hour. Hana's hands moved quickly. There was a soft beep. The cabinet opened. Inside were rows of medicine. Minho grabbed antibiotics, painkillers, and supplies to treat wounds. He stuffed them into his clothes. "Someone's coming," Hana hissed. They ran. The corridor seemed longer than before. Behind them, Minho heard shouting. An alarm began to wail. They turned a corner and pressed themselves into a dark alcove. 2 guards ran past. They were searching, but they hadn't seen which way the thieves went. Minho and Hana made it back to their cell. The guards didn't check there. Why would they? Prisoners were supposed to be in their cells at night. The neural suppressors were supposed to keep them there. Minho immediately started treating Doyen. He cleaned the wound properly, gave him antibiotics, and bandaged him with real medical supplies. For the first time in weeks, he could actually do his job right. "You'll be okay," Minho told Doyen. "Just rest." By morning, Doyen's fever had broken. By the end of the week, he was sitting up. By the end of the month, he was walking again. The other prisoners had noticed. Word spread quietly through the cells. The humans had stolen from the Velcrans. The humans had succeeded. The humans had saved one of their own. Kiva visited the cell one day. She looked at Doyen, healthy and alive. Then she looked at Minho. "You teach me?" she asked. "Teach me to hope?" Minho looked at his friends. He looked at Kiva. He thought about all the prisoners suffering on this ship, all the species the Velcrans had conquered, all the people who had forgotten what it meant to fight. "Yes," Minho said. "I'll teach you. I'll teach anyone who wants to learn." That night, in the darkness of the grinding maw, something new began to grow. Not just hope. Something stronger. Resistance. 3 months passed on the grinding maw. 3 months of work, pain, and careful planning. Minho used his medical duties to move between different sections of the prison. The guards allowed it because injured prisoners were everywhere. What they didn't know was that with every patient he treated, Minho was planting seeds. "Don't fight them openly," he would whisper while bandaging a wound. "Watch them. Learn their patterns. Wait." Some prisoners listened. Others were too broken to care. But slowly word spread. The human doctor was planning something. The human doctor still believed in freedom. Hana spent her time in the engineering sections. The Velcrans made her repair damaged systems. Never realizing she was learning how everything worked, she studied the neural suppressors, the power grid, the life support systems. She mapped it all in her mind, memorizing every detail. The suppressors are all connected, she told Minho one night. One central control unit powers them all. If we could overload it, everyone would be free at once, Minho finished. How do we overload it? Hana smiled grimly. I'm working on that. Taeyang had his own mission. The Velcrans used him for cleaning duties, which meant he went everywhere. He cleaned the guard barracks. He cleaned the control rooms. He cleaned the computer stations. And while he cleaned, he listened and learned. Their language isn't that hard, he explained. It's brutal and simple, like them. I can understand most of it now. What are they saying? Doyen asked. He was fully recovered now, working in the loading docks. They're preparing for something big, Taeyang said. An invasion. They want to know where Earth is. Where our main colonies are. They think we're weak. They think one strike will break us. Minho felt cold anger settle in his chest. Then we need to escape before they get that chance. And we need to warn Earth. The resistance grew carefully. Minho recruited 12 species, 200 prisoners who still had fight left in them. They came from all walks of life, warriors, scientists, farmers, criminals, it didn't matter. What mattered was that they refused to give up. Kiva became Minho's second in command. Her forearms were strong and her mind was sharp. She translated between species, helping everyone communicate. She also knew the ship better than most, having been a prisoner for 5 years. The Velcrans think they've broken us all, she said during a secret meeting in the medical bay. That's our advantage. They're not expecting resistance. We need weapons, said Borak, a massive rock-like creature with strength that could bend metal. What do we fight with? Our hands? At first, yes, Minho said. The Velcrans keep all real weapons locked away, but Doyen has been making improvised ones. Show them. Doyen pulled out items from his work in the loading docks, pieces of metal sharpened into blades, cables that could be used as whips or to strangle, chemicals that could burn. They weren't much, but they were something. We'll also have surprise, Minho added, and we have something the Velcrans don't understand. We work together, all of us, every species. They divide us into groups and expect us to stay divided. We won't. The plan took shape over weeks. Phase 1. Hana would overload the neural suppressor network. Phase 2. Prisoners would seize weapons from the armory. Phase 3. Take the bridge and control the ship. Phase 4. Escape. It was ambitious. It was dangerous. It would probably get them all killed. But it was better than dying slowly as slaves. Then everything went wrong. A species called the Vryn tried to escape on their own. They didn't trust the humans. They didn't want to wait. 7 of them attacked a guard detail, killed 2 Velcrans, and tried to reach the hangar. They were caught before they made it. Warden Thresh was furious. He brought all prisoners to the execution chamber again. The 7 Vryn were brought out, beaten and bloody. This is what happens to those who forget their place, Thresh announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. Let this be a lesson. The executions were even more brutal than before. Thresh made them last. Made them hurt. Minho forced himself to watch. To remember. This was why they had to fight. But the last Vryn to die screamed something before the end. A name, Hana's name. Thresh's 4 eyes narrowed. Bring me the human engineer. Guards moved toward Hana. Minho's heart stopped. If they took her, if they interrogated her, she might break. Anyone could break under Velcran torture. And if she broke, she would reveal everything. The resistance would be crushed before it even began. Minho made a choice. He stepped forward. She had nothing to do with it, he called out. The Vryn were acting alone. Thresh turned those cold eyes on him. And you know this how, human doctor? Because I treated them in medical. They talked about escaping. I reported it to the guards. It was a lie. A desperate lie. But Minho kept his face calm. Thresh studied him for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was a terrible sound. You reported it? I have no such report. Then the guards ignored it, Minho said. That's not my fault. Thresh moved closer. He was a full 2 feet taller than Minho. His breath smelled like rotting meat. Perhaps you need a reminder of your place, human. He struck Minho across the face. The blow sent him to the ground. Minho tasted blood. Take the engineer anyway, Thresh ordered. We will question her. If she knows nothing, she lives. If she knows something, he left the threat hanging. Guards grabbed Hana. She looked at Minho, fear in her eyes, but also trust. She believed he would fix this. Minho stood up, blood running from his mouth. Wait, Thresh turned back. You have something more to say? Let me go instead, Minho said. She's just an engineer. I'm the one who moves through the ship. I'm the one prisoners talk to. If there's a conspiracy, I would know about it. Perhaps you both know, Thresh said. Then question me first. If I give you what you want, you can let her go. Thresh considered this. Finally, he nodded. Very well. Guards, take them both. We'll start with the doctor. They dragged Minho away. Behind him, he heard Taeyang shout his name. Heard Doyen trying to fight his way forward before other prisoners held him back. Heard Kiva's voice, calm and steady, telling everyone to stay strong. The interrogation room was small and cold. They chained Minho to a metal chair. Thresh stood before him with tools that looked like they were designed for taking things apart. Living things, tell me about the resistance, Thresh said. Tell me who's involved. Tell me the plan. Tell me everything and your death will be quick. Minho looked at the warden and smiled with bloody teeth. There is no resistance. Just prisoners who are tired of you. We'll see, Thresh said. The pain began. Hours later, Minho hung in the chains, barely conscious. Thresh had done his worst. Broken bones, burnt skin, things Minho would rather not remember. But he hadn't talked. Hadn't given up a single name. Impossible, Thresh muttered. Most break in minutes. You've lasted hours. You don't understand humans, Minho said through split lips. Pain is just pain, it ends. But giving up my friends? That doesn't end. That lives forever. Thresh struck him again. You'll break eventually. Everyone does. Maybe, Minho said. But not today. Finally, Thresh gave up. He threw Minho back in the cell with the others. Hana and Taeyang immediately started treating his wounds. Doyen stood guard at the cell entrance. You bought us time, Hana whispered. Thresh thinks we're not organized enough to be a real threat. He thinks it was just the Vryn. How much time? Minho asked. I don't know, not much. We need to move the plan forward. Minho nodded, every movement agony. Then we launch it. Tomorrow night. Tell everyone. We escape tomorrow or we die trying. Word spread through the prison that night. 200 prisoners prepared themselves. They sharpened their improvised weapons. They reviewed the plan. They made peace with the fact that many of them wouldn't survive. But they also felt something they hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real hope. The kind that burned like fire. Tomorrow, the grinding maw would learn what happened when you caged the wrong species. The neural suppressor network shut down at exactly midnight. Hana had timed it perfectly. She had spent 3 months learning the system, and in one moment, she broke it. Every prisoner on the grinding maw suddenly felt the pressure in their heads disappear. For the first time in years, they could think freely. The alarm started immediately. The Velcrons knew something was wrong. Now, Minho shouted. Cell doors across the ship began opening. Hana had programmed them all to unlock when the suppressors went down. 200 prisoners poured into the corridors. Some had weapons. Most had only their rage. The first group of guards didn't stand a chance. They expected passive, controlled prisoners. Instead, they got a wave of fury. Borak, the rock creature, simply grabbed a guard and threw it through a wall. Kiva used her forearms to disarm 2 others before they could fire their weapons. Other prisoners swarmed over the remaining guards. Take their weapons, Minho ordered. Move to the armory. Stick to the plan. But plans rarely survived contact with reality. A squad of guards appeared at the end of the corridor, weapons raised. Blue energy bolts filled the air. 3 prisoners fell, screaming. Others scattered for cover. Doyen grabbed a weapon from a fallen guard. He had never used Velcron technology before, but weapons were weapons. He aimed and fired. The shot went wide, but it made the guards take cover. That was enough. Other prisoners rushed forward. The battle spread through the ship like wildfire. Every corridor became a war zone. The Velcrons fought with discipline and training. The prisoners fought with desperation and hate. Blood, both red and alien colors, covered the walls. Minho led one group toward engineering. They needed to keep the ship's systems running. If the Velcrons shut down life support or gravity, the prisoners would lose fast. They ran into heavy resistance at engineering. A full squad of guards defended the door. Energy bolts cut down the first wave of prisoners. A small alien with wings fell right in front of Minho, its body smoking. We can't break through. Kiva shouted over the weapon's fire. We have to. Minho looked around desperately. Then he saw it. Cooling pipes running along the ceiling. Borok, can you break those pipes? The rock creature looked up. Yes, but cooling fluid will flood this corridor. Do it. Borok jumped, grabbed a pipe and pulled. Metal screamed and tore. Green liquid sprayed everywhere. The guards shouted in their harsh language and retreated. The fluid was toxic to them. Minho and his group rushed through, holding their breath. The fluid burned their skin, but humans could take more punishment than the Velcrons expected. They always could. They reached engineering. Hana was already there, having come from a different route. She was at the main console, her fingers flying over the controls. I've locked out their command codes, she said. They can't shut down life support or engines from the bridge, but Minho. Her face was pale. I'm seeing fleet codes. The Velcrons called for backup before we cut their communications. Ships are coming. How long? 2 hours. Maybe less. 2 hours to take the ship. 2 hours to figure out how to escape. 2 hours before an entire Velcron battle fleet arrived. Then we move faster, Minho said. Can you keep engineering secure? I'll die before I let them take it back, Hana promised. Minho believed her. He left a dozen prisoners to help defend engineering and moved toward the armory. That was where the real weapons were. That was where they could arm themselves properly. The armory was chaos. Doyen had led his team there and had managed to break in, but Velcron reinforcements had arrived. Both sides were taking heavy casualties. Bodies littered the floor. The smell of burned flesh filled the air. Minho grabbed a weapon from a fallen prisoner and joined the fight. He had trained for combat, but that was years ago. His body remembered, though. Aim. Fire. Move. Find cover. Fire again. A Velcron guard charged him. Minho dodged and struck it with the weapon. The guard barely flinched. It grabbed Minho and threw him into a wall. Pain exploded through his body. The Velcron raised its weapon. Then Taeyang was there, stabbing the guard with a sharpened metal bar. The Velcron howled and turned. Taeyang stabbed it again and again. Even when it fell, he kept stabbing. Taeyang. Minho pulled him back. It's dead. Taeyang was shaking. Blood covered his hands. I know. I couldn't let it kill you. Come on, we need to keep moving. They secured the armory. Now the prisoners had real weapons. Energy rifles, explosive charges, even some armor. The tide of the battle began to turn. But the Velcrons weren't giving up. Warden Thresh appeared with a heavy assault team. These weren't regular guards. They were bigger, stronger, covered in thick armor. They pushed forward through the corridors, unstoppable. Fall back, Kiva shouted. We can't fight those. We have to, Minho said. If we let them retake engineering, it's over. The assault team kept coming. They killed everything in their path. Prisoners fell like grass before a scythe. The assault team reached the corridor outside engineering. Minho stood in their way. Around him were the last defenders. Maybe 20 prisoners. Against them, 30 heavily armed Velcron elite soldiers. This is stupid, Doyen said, standing next to Minho. We're going to die here. Probably, Minho agreed, but not without taking them with us. They opened fire. The corridor became a storm of energy and death. The Velcron armor absorbed hits that should have killed them. They advanced step by step. Then Taeyang did something insane. He grabbed an explosive charge from the armory supplies, activated it, and ran toward the assault team. For Earth, he screamed. For humanity. Taeyang, no. Minho lunged forward, but it was too late. The explosion tore through the corridor. It killed Taeyang instantly. It also killed or injured most of the assault team. The survivors retreated, their formation broken. Minho knelt by what was left of his friend. There wasn't much. You stupid, brave fool, he whispered. He saved us, Kiva said softly. He saved everyone. I know. Minho stood. His eyes were dry. There was no time for tears. Push forward. We take the bridge now. For Taeyang. The assault on the bridge was the last major battle. Warden Thresh was there with the remaining loyal guards. They fought like cornered animals, which made them even more dangerous. Minho faced Thresh personally. The warden had a weapon in each hand. His armor was scarred from 100 battles. "You should have stayed in your cell, human," Thresh growled. "You should have left us alone," Minho replied. They fought. Thresh was bigger, stronger, and more experienced. But Minho was faster and had nothing to lose. He dodged attacks that would have killed him. He struck at weak points in the armor. He used every dirty trick he had learned in military training. Finally, he got behind Thresh and fired point blank into the back of the warden's neck, where the armor was thinnest. Thresh fell. "The bridge is ours," Kiva announced. Doyen immediately went to the controls. "I can't fly this thing. The systems are completely different from human ships." "You'll figure it out," Minho said. "You always do." They had done it. Against all odds, the prisoners had taken the grinding maw. The prison ship was theirs. Then the sensors lit up. A Velcron battle fleet had just entered the system. 20 warships, all heading their way. "Tell me you can get this ship moving," Minho said. Doyun's hands flew over the controls. "I'm trying. The helm's not responding right." Outside the window, Minho could see the fleet approaching. They had won the ship, but now they had to survive what came next, and time had just run out. The Velcran fleet moved toward them like sharks sensing blood. 20 warships against one damaged prison ship full of exhausted, barely armed prisoners. It should have been over in minutes. "Everyone who can fight to the weapon stations," Minho ordered. "Everyone else get to the emergency pods. If this goes bad, at least some of us can escape." "I'm not leaving," Kiva said firmly. Her forearms worked at a tactical console. "None of us are leaving. We all get out together or not at all. Isn't that what humans taught us?" Minho looked around the bridge. Prisoners from a dozen species stared back at him. They had fought and bled together. They had lost friends together. They weren't going to abandon each other now. "Then we fight," Minho said. "Load all weapons. Hana, can you give us full power?" From engineering, Hana's voice crackled over the communication system. "I can give you power. Whether this old ship can handle it is another question. We'll probably blow up. Better that than going back in chains," Minho said. The first Velcron ship fired. Energy blasts hit the grinding maw's shields. The whole ship shook. Warning lights flashed across every console. Doyen fired back. The prison ship's weapons were meant for threats from other prisoners, not warships. But they still had power. His shot hit a Velcran cruiser and actually damaged its shields. "Did you see that?" Doyen laughed wildly. "We hurt them." "Keep firing," Minho said. "Make them work for it." What followed was less a battle and more a desperate struggle to survive. The Velcran fleet surrounded them, firing from all sides. The grinding maw fought back, but it was taking damage fast. Shields dropped to 50%, then 30, then 10. "We can't take much more of this," Hana shouted from engineering. "The ship's falling apart!" Minho looked at the tactical display. They had damaged 3 Velcran ships, but the rest were closing in for the kill. It was over. They had come so close, then Minho had an idea. A terrible, insane idea. Doyen plot a course straight toward their command ship. "Full speed." "What?" "We'll hit them." "Exactly. We ram them. If we're going to die, we take their commander with us." "That's actually crazy enough to work," Doyen said. He entered the commands. Ramming course set. The grinding maw turned and accelerated. The Velcran fleet seemed confused for a moment. Why would the prisoners do this? They must have damage that was making them lose control, but they didn't lose control. The prison ship, massive and heavy, slammed into the Velcran command cruiser at full speed. The impact was incredible. Both ships were severely damaged. The cruiser's shields collapsed completely. "Fire everything at the command ship," Minho ordered. Now while they're vulnerable, every weapon on the grinding maw fired at once. The Velcran command ship's armor cracked, then broke. Explosions rippled across its hull, and then it split in two, dying in a massive fireball. The other Velcran ships pulled back, shocked. In all their history, had Prey ever dared to fight back like this? "We got them," Borak roared. "We killed their leader." But the celebration was short. The grinding maw was dying. The collision had broken critical systems. Fire spread through the lower decks. Life support was failing. "We need to abandon ship," Hana reported. "We have maybe 10 minutes. "Get everyone to the pods," Minho said. "Move!" The surviving prisoners rushed to the escape pods. There weren't enough for everyone. Some of the smaller species doubled up. Others chose to stay and die with the ship, rather than let someone else go without a pod. Minho was about to follow when the communication system crackled to life. But it wasn't Hana or any of the prisoners. It was a new voice, speaking human language. Unidentified vessel, this is Admiral Nari Kwan of the Human Defense Fleet. We're receiving your distress signal. Hold your position. We're coming to you. For a moment, everyone on the bridge froze. Human ships? Doyen whispered. They found us? All ships full attack formation. Admiral Kwan's voice continued. Target the Velcran fleet. Show them what happens when they take our people. Space around them suddenly filled with human warships. Dozens of them appearing from faster-than-light jumps. They were smaller than the Velcran vessels, but they moved faster. And they were angry. The battle changed instantly. The Velcran fleet, already disorganized from losing their command ship, now faced a fresh enemy that fought with fury. Human missiles and energy weapons tore into Velcran armor. Human fighters swarmed like angry insects, too small and fast for the Velcran ships to target effectively. One by one, the Velcran ships fell or retreated. Within an hour, the battle was over. The fleet that had ruled this sector of space for decades was broken. A human cruiser docked with the dying grinding maw. Medical teams rushed aboard. Soldiers secured the area. And finally, after months of captivity, Minho and the others stepped onto a human ship. Admiral Kwan met them personally. She was a small woman with gray hair and hard eyes. She looked at the survivors, human and alien alike, all wounded and exhausted. We've been searching for you since your ship disappeared, she said. We intercepted your final message, the one you broadcast during the battle. Every human ship heard it. Every human knows what the Velcrans did. How did you get here so fast? Minho asked. We were already mobilizing, Kwan said. When we learned the Velcrans were taking human prisoners, we gathered every ship we could. We've crossed deep into their space. This is enemy territory, but we don't care. She looked Minho in the eyes. You are our people. We don't abandon our people. Tears ran down Minho's face. He couldn't stop them. We lost so many, Taiyang, Captain Ko, hundreds of others. They'll be remembered, Kwan promised. Every one of them. Now let's get you home. The rescued prisoners were split among the human ships. Medical care was provided, food, safety, things they hadn't known in so long. The non-human prisoners were offered transport back to their worlds. Most accepted. Some, like Kiva, chose to stay with the humans for a while. You taught us to hope again, she told Minho. I want to see what else you can teach. Months later, Minho stood on a space station orbiting Earth. He had healed physically, though the scars remained. Mentally, he knew he would carry the grinding maw with him forever, but he wasn't alone. Doyen was there, learning to pilot with a prosthetic arm. Hana was there, designing better ships for deep space defense. Other survivors visited often, including Kiva and Borok. A memorial had been built. It listed every name of those who died in the prison and the escape. Taeyang Song's name was near the top. Captain Yuna Ko's was there too. Do you think they'll try again? Doyen asked. The Velcrans? No, Minho said. We broke their prison. We beat their fleet. We showed them that humans don't break. Word will spread. Other species are already contacting us, wanting alliances. The Velcrans wanted to study our weakness. They found our strength instead. What strength is that? Kiva asked. Minho thought about everything they had been through. The pain, the loss, the moments where giving up would have been easier. But they hadn't given up. Not even when it seemed hopeless. We don't know how to quit, Minho said. Not when our people need us. Not when our friends are in danger. Not when there's still hope, no matter how small. The Velcrans thought that was a weakness. They thought caring about others made us vulnerable. They were wrong. It makes us unstoppable. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Velcran Dominion still existed. Other empires still thought humans were weak. But word was spreading. A warning passing between the stars: you can capture humans. You can hurt them. You can even kill them. But you can't break them. And when they escape, they won't just free themselves. They'll free everyone. Because that's what humans do. They fight, they hope. They refuse to accept that anything is impossible. And they never ever leave their people behind. The galaxy was learning. Humanity was not prey. They were something far more dangerous. They were the ones who broke the unbreakable prison. The ones who turned captivity into freedom. They were the ones you should never have caged in the first place.